It's just a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Angela Moore with 6 Degrees Digital Media. Thank you so much for coming on the show. She is the president of 6 Degrees Digital Media. After working in online sales and marketing since 2000, she opened the virtual doors of 6 Degrees Digital Media in 2010. Marketing has been her passion since her first lemonade stand when she was just a young girl, so a degree and career in marketing made sense. She's developed over 100 clients to build their brand online and grow their business. Angela has also taught short seminars for both of U of A's entrepreneur program, as well as Cal Poly San Luis Obispo Extended Education. Realizing most small businesses need marketing help but can't afford to hire an agency or have been taken advantage of and don't know whom to trust, 6 Degrees Digital Media also launched an online marketing academy. Their main service now focuses on video and development. Video is the most consumed form of content online, and it's the best way to build a relationship with your audience. You can find out more at 6degreesdigitalmedia.com. Thanks again for coming on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You know, marketing is everything. I mean, there's so many great companies that started in a garage and had the best product, but no one ever found out about it, and they're gone. Right. And then some of the worst products ever had the best marketing, and everybody's bought crap in America that only lasted 30 days and broke. I mean, it goes on. So from a business point of view, a horrible product, well marketed, is a better return on investment than having the best product that no one ever finds or buys.
Right. So it's just like you said, we've all seen fads and trends, and some people make it by mistake, right? I think like whiteout, Post-it notes, all kinds of things. But if you don't know how to get your message to your market, then you're just going to kind of lump along until you run out of funds or give up. So there's probably a million ideas out there that no one's ever really understood. Like you said, it could be the greatest product in the world, but they either fail at identifying their audience, getting their message in front of the audience, or not branding properly. So sometimes it's an education problem, right? So
you know, it's funny. I got to Ahwatukee 30 years ago, and 30 years ago, the big hot marketing thing was the yellow pages. And and as a dentist or a small business owner, no one could afford TV or radio or billboards. So it was basically just the yellow pages. And for the first 10 years, it was like really taking serious yellow page. Should it be just a listing or a quarter page ad or a full page ad? Then some people went to 2 full page ads. And now I don't even think we have yellow pages in the house. I mean, I don't think I've seen a yellow page book. Then came out the digital marketing. And at first it was just all email. Or if it was a website, it was just text.
And banner ads.
And banner ads. And then the next big thing was a picture, like on Instagram or Pinterest or something. And now you're saying it's kind of moved to video?
Right. Well, we know that video is consumed more than anything else online. So the problem is our attention span, Microsoft did a study, I don't know, a couple years ago, our attention span is actually less than a goldfish. It's dwindled down and down. It used to be 9 seconds, 6 seconds. Now it's like 1.8 seconds, right? And we know that where there's a whole bunch of text on a page or a video, someone's going to play the video before they watch all that, before they read all that text, right? Because we just want it like this, right? We are a very impatient people, but that's because that's how we've been fed. That's just sort of what the natural evolution has become. We know that people will retain the video that they've seen in an ad more so than anything else. Back to your point about the TV, we've all learned those jingles from seeing those ads so many times. Or we can repeat, think about the last time you went to a movie that you really enjoyed. You saw it, right? And you're able to tell somebody, you could probably give a summary. But the last time you read a 500-page novel, how well did you summarize that for someone, right? Because we have these visuals that have been projected, right? So it's a very easy and natural progression for us to share something with someone else that we've enjoyed, right? So if it's a video, you share it, you comment on it. We just know it builds your brand. We know people enjoy, I think it's like 92% higher purchase intent and 127% more brand recognition from a video ad, which is crazy. We know that people stay on your website an average of 2 minutes longer. There's just statistics that I could bore you with, but I won't. But
oh, please do. I love them. Roll them.
Okay, so one of my favorite ones is, did you know that by adding the word video to the subject line of an email can boost your open rates by 200%?
I'm not on.
Now,
I'm not on
the phone, right?
on my texting. I'm actually taking notes.
That's okay. And I'm like,
Do you have all these stats in a Word document?
I have them in various places on all of our social media, on our websites. I do blogs, I do videos. I've got all kinds of free information out there. But here's the thing. Here's the key. I love this. Okay, so let's just look at that again. Video can boost your open rates by having the word video in the subject line, can boost your open rates by 200%. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold the phone. Wait a minute. I don't know if I buy that. Okay, let's take a step back. What if it was only 100% boost in open rates? Hello. Okay, I'm happy with that too. But now, wait a minute. I'm still not sure about that. Okay, what if it was just an extra 25%? What if it was just an extra 50%? Fantastic. We all want to take that all day long because we all heard how email, you own your own list, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, Angela, I don't have a video to put in my email. How am I going to do that? Well, I've got a solution for that too. Whoever said it had to be your video, right? So imagine you could even be saying, don't end up like this guy in this video, or don't make the mistake that this, right? And you could find somebody else's video that has Creative Commons on it, and you could either embed that in your email, or you could just put the link to it, right? But the best way, of course, would be to send somebody over to your website because you want to get them to take action. So if it's a video that has what's called Creative Commons on YouTube, that means you can embed it, right? Because that's helpful for the owner of that video too. So let's say you embed that video as a blog or whatever, and you have some great information there, and then you're sending out an email with the word video in the subject line. That's crazy. Now you're leveraging other people's video instead of your own. You didn't even make that video. You don't have the cost of that. But you're able to leverage that to help your own business.
So, man, you opened up so many million questions. By the way, I love listening to you. You can tell this is your passion and pride. When you say a video, does that always mean, is that mostly YouTube?
Well,
putting the video on YouTube, or there used to be video,
right,
Vimeo and Vine. And
right, so those are all hosting platforms. So let's talk about how you create your video for a second. So there's different ways to create video. A lot of people think you have to be on camera, which you don't. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. It can be a slideshow, it can be a screencast, it can be an explainer video, it can be what's called motion graphics with crazy special effects. It can be using stock footage, stock images. There's just a ton of different ways to make video. So the thing is, the piece that people miss is before they start making a video, and this is super important, they have to decide on what the goal of that video is first. Are you trying to rank a video in Google? Are you trying to rank a video in YouTube? Are you using video to build your brand where you're going to be answering questions that your audience is asking that positions you as an expert? Are you using an explainer type video on your website so that, imagine I come to a website and it's got 25 or 50 pages and I don't really know where to go, but if you have a nice welcome video on your website that kind of gives an overview and that helps people, it welcomes them, it's like, okay, I'm in the right place. Let me know I'm in the right place right away. What problem are you going to solve for me? So there's different video hosting companies. YouTube is one, and it's very effective if you want to build your brand on YouTube. It's also very effective if you want to embed videos. It also has what's called an unlisted feature and a private feature, which you can use. You can't always control all the controls inside YouTube, but there's some things you can do there too. So Vimeo is another platform where you have a little more control, but you can also build your brand on Vimeo. You can also use Wistia. There's just so many different platforms. You can upload your video natively to Facebook, which we tell everybody to do if you're making a video to build your brand. I always put it on YouTube and I put it on Facebook. But I don't just link to the YouTube video because Facebook doesn't like that. They want to keep people on Facebook just like YouTube wants to.
Now, you know the founder of Facebook is Mark Zuckerberg. and his dad is a dentist like me, and we're buddies.
Well, there you go. So you got all this down already. You should give me tips.
He's sat in that chair, I think 3 times on a podcast, but just for Dennis. But that's what he says. He says, if you post a link to leave Mark's Facebook and go to YouTube or iTunes, he doesn't want that.
Right.
And what's interesting, what you said is almost all my dentist friends, I have like 60 dentist friends who do dental podcasts and dentistry.
Okay.
And they all do it on iTunes.
Right.
And that's just sound only. So we have my son Ryan film it so that you can put it on YouTube, and then we, what do you call it, natively upload it into Facebook.
Right.
And so what would you say to all the people who do just sound only podcasts?
That's a really good point, because it's one of the things that I was going to touch on. So we basically have 4 ways that we can push out information, right? So it's either through text, it's through images, it's through podcasts, or audio, or it's video. Those are your 4 formats for content. That's it. That's all we can do.
Text,
it's
images.
Text, which is an article, a press release, Would
that be a blog?
A blog is a perfect example of a text.
But what happens when someone, I see a lot of people, they'll post a blog, but they'll have a video in their...
Right. You can embed a video on that blog.
So then is it still a blog or is it a video?
It's still a blog with a video component, unless you just have, if you're a vlogger, right, where you're basically putting a video that is your blog, only it's all video, right? So you're always doing video. And then you can have a summary if you want of the text. But
so a blog with a video in it is still a blog?
In my opinion, yes.
But a video only blog is a vlog.
Right.
So a vlog is a video and a blog is a text.
Yeah, they've married those 2 phrases together, VLOG,
yeah,
so vlog, right? So
and then there was images, but what about, but you're saying it's moving all to video, so does that mean will podcasts move down?
No. In fact, the reverse. So I think podcasts and video are a perfect marriage, and here's why. So if you have a podcast, much like what you did, where you can take, whether you build, because we've done this with people before too, where you can transcribe that and add images to it and create a slideshow. When we add that visual component, it really evokes emotion. And we know that's how people buy, that's how they resonate with things, is visual can really, you see a picture of a baby crying, right? Or a child scared to go to the dentist, but then after that dentist experience, she's so happy, right? That's now imagine you're just listening to that. It's not quite the same. So it gives you an extra component, an extra layer. But on the flip side of that, you can also take all your videos and you can strip out the audio and take that video and turn it into a podcast. That's what I'm saying. It's a perfect marriage. Because
and when you met me, you told me I had a face for podcast, not video.
I did not say that.
That's what she said. I said, "How you doing?" She goes, "That's a podcast face. I don't want to see how you."
That's not true.
So that
Yes, it is true.
So how do you? So that was pretty neat. So you can do a video with the sound, and then strip out the sound and make that an audio podcast. So is
strip out the images, not the.
So
yeah,
is it? Here's my bias.
Okay.
Or podcast just multitasking? Like I can't watch a YouTube video when I'm driving. So is it? I'm only listening to a podcast when I'm on an hour commute to work, when I'm driving. But if I switch to a driverless car, would I not be on iTunes and be watching it on YouTube?
I think it's preference. So we also know there's audio learners. There's, first there was audio books. So there's a lot of people who, have you seen the people at the gym where sometimes they just have their headphones in and they're listening to a podcast or they're listening to music only, right? They just want that audio experience.
That was the greatest compliment I've ever got, that you thought I've ever been to a gym. My God. Either your glasses aren't working, but I'll take the compliment, and let's just pretend I went to a gym.
Okay. So, and then the other part of it is there's the other people who have their tablets, and they have them sitting there.
Tablet meaning the iPad?
It could be an iPad, it can be a Kindle, it can be whatever it is.
Okay.
But that might be sitting on their treadmill, and they're actually reading, right? So It's all a matter of preference and the type of content you want to consume. So we usually pick what it is that we want. So we plan that out. And if we don't, then we'll probably just pop some music on. But it's like, if I know there's a podcast I want to listen to, I'm going to find the time. I'm going to say, I may even listen to that while I'm doing something at work. Now, for me, I have shiny object syndrome, like most marketers that I know. And so my focus goes like this, right? So I don't even listen to music when I work. I'm like an anomaly, but because I have to laser focus on my task, I get distracted so easily. So it would be hard for me to listen to a podcast. But if I was driving, or if I'm just chilling in my house or in my little surfboard thing, then I might listen to a podcast. But I'm also a visual learner, so and a kinesthetic learner. So I would almost rather see it. I like to be able to read the content too. So again, back to the whole idea of repurposing your content in several formats. What it does is it gives your customer, client, patient, it gives the user the option. So I'm a big fan of having your content repurposed in text, image, podcast, and video. And then that way you're covering however somebody else, we want to give the choice up to them. A text, so you can summarize. If it's a long podcast, right, it can be transcribed, and it can be, here's the text, here's the downloadable transcript if you want. If you want talking points so that people want those sound bites, you could put it in an infographic, right? You could even take certain pieces of that podcast, make social graphics where you're using those as sound bites on social media to get people to come download your podcast. So
but before we get into business, I want to talk to you about a lot of biases that might not be right or wrong.
All right, let's bust those myths.
Okay, so let's say you're a business and all your customers are senior citizens, and they're thinking, Angela's crazy. My customers, they only go to the mailbox and do direct mail. They're not ever going to get online. Some people say, well, and I don't know if it's true, YouTube is 80% men, and what was the other one? Tumblr was... YouTube was 80% men, we heard, and Tumblr was 80% women. Then some people say, like, I'm a grandpa. I'm 55, got 4 grandchildren. They say, well, those guys, they read books, and they direct mail, and that digital is more. So what I want to ask you is there, because you just said social graphics, social demographics. Do you see social, whether boy, girl, old, young, in digital marketing?
Yeah, it's everywhere. And the thing is, it's so funny that you brought this up, because literally my post that's coming out, the video that I have coming out on Thursday on Facebook, is how to get secret data about your audience. So this is so funny. There's a couple of different ways to find that. Number one is, if you have a website, you can find out a ton of information about your video, or about your visitors, including their behavior and their makeup. And it shows you what their interest is. It shows you their age range. It shows you their gender. It shows you things that they're interested in. It shows you if they were looking to buy a Lexus. I mean, you can get all kinds of data. And Facebook does the same thing, right? So here's where it gets fun, is this dentist might think that, but did he really do the research to get that information, or is he just pulling that out of his head?
He's pulling it out of his head.
That's right. But the thing is, we can show this dentist, it's like, hey, Mr. Dentist, you might be thinking that's true. Here's why you might be mistaken. And I don't care if you don't have a website, and I don't care if you have a Facebook page. I can put in anybody's Facebook page inside Insights and get data about that audience, right? So it might...
That sounds kind of scary.
It is, because, when you...
Do you think this latest Facebook, what it was, the Cambridge...
I know, that was tough.
You and I have lived through the rise and fall of MySpace and all that. Is this going to be a game changer for Mark, or he'll weather the storm. Here's the thing. Look what happened with Equifax or Experian. Which one was it? It's like... Yeah. This is great example.
It's funny, but in this day and age, people may be surprised, but it's like, how many people do anything about it. I remember a couple years ago when Target, their thing was compromised. How many of our banks get compromised? The thing is, it's not, nobody is really surprised. They might get all up in arms.
But you know what's the funniest part about it to me? That's the most ironic. When I was growing up little in Kansas, all the older farmers, they were all worried about the government and the CIA and the FBI finding out all their personal information. And now these guys are sending their DNA to 23.
That one scares me.
Like you were afraid the CIA might be bugging your. People would say they're bugging your call. It's like, well, now you're on Facebook posting everything about you.
Thank you. That's
putting
the whole
all
point.
your movie pictures.
That's the whole point.
All your pictures in the cloud, and then sending the owner of Google. His wife owns 23andMe, and now you're again. I did it. I sent him my deal, and found out I was 4% Neanderthal. And so it's like, it's so funny. The bad guy was going to be the government, and it turned out this bad guy was 1,000 times bigger, and he was free enterprise, publicly traded on NASDAQ.
I don't know that there's too many people, unless you're really cold hard security guy, that protects their data as much as they should 100% of the time. So here's my answer. Maybe they didn't get your data from Facebook, but if somebody really wants it, they're going to find a way to get it. People have been able to grab...
With surveys.
Credit.
They'll just give you a survey. Hey, you a boy or girl? How old are you?
You have to opt
Do you like
out
wine
of
or
how
beer?
We've been attacked on every level. You know, I read, don't pay at the pump, go inside to pay, because there's things that'll get your strip from here. It's just the new bacon. And here's what I mean
by
that.
The new bacon? I've not heard that one.
Here's what I mean by that. It's like, for years, bacon was bad, or eggs, or everything, but it keeps shifting, right? This is bad for you. This is bad for you. Be careful of this. Don't have this. Don't use that. Don't use that. And now that we're in the digital world, it's always something. There's always going to be one thing. There's going to be people saying, don't get on Facebook because they're going to get your data. It's like, you know what? I'm not that interesting. So if somebody comes after me, they're probably going to...
I think this. Do you believe this or not? Privacy died years ago.
I do believe that.
It's gone.
I believe that 100%.
And it's going to come back about as likely as the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah. But we're all to blame for it. It's not.
But it is. But
we've all accepted it.
It's not like it's something that might happen in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
It's something that happened 5 or 10 years ago.
Right.
Would you agree?
If you're trying to hide, you need to change your name.
And you know what the scariest thing for me was? My eureka moment. I don't know if I can legally talk about this, but I was in jury duty. And, you know, whenever you go to jury duty, you know, usually you're just praying that it hits 12 and they always kick you out. I mean, I was 5 minutes from getting kicked out of there. And next thing I knew, I was on a 3-week trial.
Oh.
And it was amazing. They could pull up text, emails, and phone conversations these criminals were having years ago.
Right. Oh.
And it's like, oh my God. I was sitting, and this was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna love this one too. So people can find a way to target you, not just in a bad way, but let's say we're just sticking with marketing. There was a conference I went to recently, and you may or may not have heard about proximity marketing, where, you know, it used to be that if you downloaded somebody's app, they could send push notifications to you. That's why you get the Starbucks message every time you walk past a Starbucks. Now I'm at a company that can actually grab the ID of your phone just by walking by. And they can't send you those messages because you didn't download an app, but what it does is it uses what's called display marketing. So anytime you're in any kind of other app, those messages are getting pushed out to you through there. And I thought, wow, I don't really know how I feel about that one, but that's a little even more big brothery. Now you can, if I walk past you, you can get a way to target me without me taking any action at all. So I could see some people wanting to use that for good and some for evil, but... so yeah, I think technology.
These police officers knew every place you had driven.
Oh yeah.
Going back as far as they wanted to. So it's no longer like We're Little, the black and white TV shows shining a light. Where were you on Friday night at 10:30? You know.
So I don't go anywhere.
And,
sit in my house and watch
and now
Netflix.
They're like, well, we already know you were there. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And we know what time you left. And we know which one you're...
There's so many ways people can get into your computer, and people can get into... And the thing is, you might be really well secure, but maybe your kids weren't. Or
so let me ask you another question before we get to what you do. We both agree, rightly, I think, that privacy died years ago. Did direct mail die? We agree that yellow pages are dead.
Oh,
because
yeah, I love that you brought that up.
Did direct mail die?
I didn't throw out my yellow book for a really long time because I always used it as a booster chair when somebody would come over to my house that had a small child. And we even used that in one of our webinars at one point. It's like, yes,
now I'm
here's
realizing
how you use
I
your
shouldn't
yellow
have thrown
book.
them away. They'll be antique souvenirs worth worth $50 a book in another 10 years.
It's like, what was that? There was something I said the other day, and my son said, "What was that?" And I was like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, you know what? We were watching a show last night, and it was an older show, and the guy had a pager." And my son goes, "What's a pager?" And I'm like, "I'll explain it to you after the show." So it was so funny. It's like, yeah, that's right. He grew up in an era where there aren't pagers, right? But so yeah, there's.
So is direct mail dead?
Direct mail.
Because you still get a ton of it.
You know what?
Get the mail.
Here's the funny thing is. Back to the seniors, right? People that are looking for deals. I open a lot of my direct mail because I think those are my potential customers. But and every now and then I'll look at a coupon, and if I go, oh, I'm interested in that place, but I'll also look to see if it's online too. Because how many times you have all these coupons, but the thing is, you always leave them at home when you're thinking about it. So unless you tuck them in somewhere. You don't even, it doesn't get used. So that's part of the direct mail market problem now, is that if they don't also have it available digitally, they're probably still losing those customers. And the thing is, a lot of people, they think that's what they can afford. So it's been ingrained in them that, oh, if you only have $400 a month, you do Valpak, right? You know, where else should I spend my budget? And because they haven't been educated enough, and they're afraid of digital marketing. So they don't know how to use a small budget to make it more effective than even spending that little bit of money on direct mail. So that's part of the problem. But that was one of the things I was going to tell you about. I was like, oh yeah, it's like how to market on a limited budget.
So your website is 6degreesdigitalmedia.com. 4 words. And I actually know the definition of each one. 6 degrees digital media. I'm 4 for 4 on that.
There you go.
What are my homies going to find on your website?
Well, you'll find my welcome video that explains how we can help people with video, and a button in case you want to fill out a form and have us help you. I offer a free 15-minute consultation. I call it a discovery session because again, depending on where somebody is in their business and what their competition is and what their budget is, I can probably tell what type of marketing they should use. And video, even though I think it can be effective, I know it can be effective for any business, not everybody has the budget to do the type of video marketing campaign that can help them the best. But I've got a solution for them too. So I can show anybody how to make a video for under $100.
That free 15-minute consultation, do they call you on the phone?
They actually schedule with my online calendar, and they get some choices of when I'm available for that 15 minutes. And then we'll jump on a call and have a discovery session. And then we'll see if it makes sense for me to prepare a proposal for them, or if we need to have a strategy session, if they just need some consulting. A lot of times that's the step that somebody needs first, is it's like, Angela, I don't even know what to do for my business.
And all these thoughts are because, I've had a dental office next to Safeway for 30 years. And all my patients for 30 years, whatever business they own, what turns them on is their business. I mean, if they're a welder, they dream about welding and getting a new welding tank. They don't want to think about all this crap.
Right.
And then all my friends that are dentists in Ahwatukee, I mean, they want to go to a course on root canals. They don't want to listen to you.
Right.
I think you're very interesting, but you're not as interesting as bone grafting and placing a dental implant. So how do you coach business owners who say, I wear too many hats, and quite frankly, I don't want to learn your hat.
That's fine.
I want to be a roofer and a welder.
Then you hire me to handle all that for you. So it's always time or money, right? Everything is time or money. Either you're going to learn to do it yourself, or you're going to hire somebody who already knows it. That's it.
So do you have any stats on like what the size of the average businesses, small businesses in the United States? I always hear it's $1 million dollars a year with 25 employees. You hear that out of the chamber.
You know, I always, there's so many thoughts on that.
Because where I'm going with that is, should the budget be a % of revenue? Or is that just too overly simplistic?
It is. I don't think that people can approach it that way, because if I tell somebody, if you're a bigger business, yes. If you're to the point where you're actually making budgets, where you can say, I'm allocating this, then yes, then marketing should be part of your budget. Most small business owners don't even have that. Even if you have, you know, maybe you're a business owner that only has $500,000 a year, right? It's like, well, what do? I can't commit 10% to that, because that might be my revenue. That's not my profit, and I'm already barely treading above water. I need another human, you know. So like I need to grow. Like marketing isn't what I can do right now. So it's going to be a little tougher for them. So then, you know, you kind of work on word of mouth marketing and referral marketing and networking.
I've personally talked to several crying people in the last 10 years that are getting crushed by Amazon. I mean, if you go, so I've been to that Safeway center for 30 years. It's half empty. I mean, they're getting crushed.
Right.
My question to you is, can they outmarket Amazon and survive, or is retail dead?
Well, we know that, 30% of the malls are closing. We know that Toys R Us is closing all their retail stores, right? So the problem is, if you can't
It's not
adapt...
Toys R Us, by the way. It's Toys R Was.
Yeah. My son just asked me to take him there, and so I'm like, okay, we'll go see if there's... But there was I'm like, there's nothing even on sale. Wait a minute, you say you're closing.
So if Toys R Us couldn't beat
it. But that's the thing, is if you can't compete, then yes, you will lose. So it's not so much that retail is dead. It depends on what your price points are. Maybe you open an online store. There's plenty of stores that are opening just an online component, right? There's so many of these stores that close down, retail clothing stores, right? And it's like, no, we're just going to sell online, because we're actually bringing in more business online than we are in our brick and mortar stores. So that makes sense. There's less overhead. You're not spending that many anymore. So that's going to be the first shift. Now, I don't think not all retail stores will close. I'm a big fan of going in and walking around in Kohl's and Target. We just love to do that. I don't always buy something though, but I love just going out, and it gives me ideas, and most of the time I do end up buying something, but I just like the experience. I like the touchy-feely experience. There's a lot of people, though, that never want to be in the store. They don't even want to go buy a gallon of milk. You know? They would just rather have their groceries delivered to them now. And I get that, too. But there's always going to be the people that want what we call retail therapy, right? Which is what I love to do.
I never heard of that.
So, yeah.
You're so fun to listen to.
As women, we love that.
Retail therapy.
Yeah. When I back in the day, when I had no money, just to make myself feel better, I would go walk around in a store, and I'd put stuff in my little cart, and then at the end of the day, I'd just go put it back on the shelves. But it made me feel better, you know. It's like, and then, you know, you're kind of dreaming. But
well, can I tell you my version of that story?
Yeah.
I remember when they came out with VCR, and all the newspaper says that was the death of the movie theater, and it wasn't. Then they came out with the CD. Remember those big album CDs? That was the death theater, and wasn't. Then it was the CD-ROM was going to kill them. Then it was video streaming, and I kind of, at 55 years, I thought, maybe they just want to leave the house on Friday night. And
that's right.
And then you call it retail therapy, and it's like, I know you can watch my children just bought
It's an experience.
Yeah, you just want to get the hell out of the house.
That's what you're paying for, is an experience. It's the same as my retail therapy. It's not so much, you have to position it as an experience and think of it that way. So it's not just that retail is going to die. If you can offer someone an experience in your shop, it's a game changer, because you can't get that experience online. Sure, there's virtual reality.
I'm not texting my granddaughter. I got to write that down. That's too damn good.
But yeah, that's the thing, is I'm working with another lady right now who, that's how I want to position her her particular product, is you're not just coming in to get this, you're getting this full experience, because that's what we all want, right? We all want to be able to take vacations. We all want escapes. We need something that keeps our wheels from turning all the time. And if you can provide somebody with that gives them that warm, fuzzy feeling, you've got it made. It's getting your message out that you can do that and draw them in. It's why Blockbuster closed. It's like we used to go to Blockbuster every Friday night, back when it was VHS and then when it was DVD, but it was still just a movie. There was nothing extra except going in and picking out a movie, right? Now I can go just pick out a movie at Redbox, or no, I can just stream it. There wasn't anything extra there, right? But if you can provide people with that extra layer of experience that gives them something else, then you're going to have customers that are loyal, that love you, that will sing your praises, that will help you build your brand, right? That
You're
human
very
connection and
profound because I lived through Blockbuster was the new greatest thing till its death.
I remember that.
And you're right, getting a movie at Blockbuster or Redbox, the human experience was nothing. There's no difference.
They had a gumball machine, and then they started, or they tried to sell you other products that would help increase their ticket, right? Whether it was, here's gumballs, now we have posters, now we have stuffed animals, because my son bought them all. And, well, I bought them all for my son, let's face that, but, let's own up to that. But yeah, there was never anything extra. At some point, I think they did start putting in, they would have a movie playing, right, to help you pick that out. But even the Disney store now, what I like about the Disney store is they have castles and things that your kids can walk through. They've got movies up there. I mean, it can still be improved upon, but they're a little bit more so having that experience, right? The women at the makeup counters, they'll do your makeup for you. Or Home Depot even offers the weekend, come build a birdhouse with us, right? So they've got something going on, right? So if you can add that extra piece in, it just makes all the difference. And I would challenge everybody to find what they can do, right? Because there's always something. There's always something. And the thing is, it might even not be something that's specifically related to your product or service directly, but get with people similar target markets, right? So if you all serve sort of the same customer, and you're like the hot dog and ketchup thing, right? So if you guys are all serving the same thing, come together and start brainstorming, because there might be an opportunity where you guys could take your experience to each other's place once a month, right? Well, now it's here. And maybe you're a group of, people who would refer each other. And then you're not always hosting it. You're not always out the expense, but you're helping each other out.
It will be very exciting to see, these $100 million investments in malls and real estates. I mean, like my center, it's like, someday it's going to be turned into something. Yeah. And it's either going to be what you're talking about, or it's just going to be office space. But it'll be fun to live through how they reinvent that experience. My next question is, who's your favorite customer? Who do you like to work with the most?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And don't just say short, fat, bald men. Be more specific on businesses.
We've worked with a ton of clients in a lot of different industries. We worked with a lot of people in the education space.
What does that mean, the education
colleges,
space?
universities,
okay.
daycares.
Okay.
We've worked with people in the medical realm.
And who's most common in the medical realm? Because it seems like when you get your Val pack. Okay, who
yeah. So that's when I like that, because again, they're offering people an experience. Women who want to look younger or lose weight.
And what was the biggest one that just went under?
Was it here? I'm still kind of
the one in the what was that, Ryan? What was the big beauty spa in Chandler Regional Mall? But anyway,
I like helping people that have a service that genuinely helps other people, right? So that's.
Well, let me go back to this. Will retail have to provide something that Amazon can't ship you in a box? For instance, you can't cut my hair in a box. You can't cook me dinner. You can't give me a massage. You can't fix my tooth. You can't be my chiropractor. Is retail going to have have a human in it? Because if it's just a pair of shoes, They can be shipped in a box.
Right.
It's going to come from Amazon.
Same thing. Yeah.
I mean, do you believe that?
Yeah, I do. You have to have. It's we do business with people, but if there's a certain component that it doesn't matter, like I don't care who's selling me shoes. I don't even necessarily want. Remember the old days when somebody you'd sit down. I remember my mom taking me shoe shopping when I was little every year, right? And you'd sit down and the people would bring the box and that you'd do whatever they did. But it's like, I don't need that. I'm fine trying on my own.
Did you enjoy, though, slipping your foot into other people's foot funguses and microorganisms
I don't
and
even
viruses
like that.
and
I don't do
bacteria?
that now.
That was a nice,
You know what?
warm feeling.
I'm kind of a freak. I don't like to try anything on in the stores. My daughter thinks it's ridiculous. I'm like, no. I will buy it and take it home, and I will try it on, and if it doesn't fit, I am fine bringing it back. She goes, but that's an extra trip. I go, I don't care. I also know myself pretty well. I can look at a piece of clothing and go, yeah, that'll fit. And then, I always feel really good when it's too big and I'm wrong, but, but it's like, yeah. So I don't, there's certain part that I don't want, and then there's certain part that I do. If I needed to see I love my dentist, by the way. So
Who's your dentist?
You know what? I need a new dentist in town. I'll tell you this funny story because, again, I just moved here in November, and I knew I needed some dental work done. And I called one person, but they couldn't see me, so I went to another place, and I won't mention them, but they tried to sell me something that I didn't even come in there for. And I'm like, but that's not what, I know I need this fixed. These are the two things that I know, and they were big ticket items, mind you, but they wanted to sell me on a lower ticket item, and I didn't even understand why. Lower ticket item for a dentist, I don't know if that's how you phrase it, but I ended up calling my dentist in Tucson, and because he's been my dentist for more than 20 years, probably 22 years, and I'm like, can I just come out and see you? I drove out to Tucson because I couldn't find...
That's so cool. I love when I hear that.
And then, because you know what? When I was little, I had a really good dentist experience. Do not have that when I get my haircut. I always say I'd rather go to the dentist and get my haircut. I'm kind of strange. But, so it was... Yeah,
I would give anything to rather go to my barber than my dentist because I get free dentistry.
When you have somebody that you have to trust, like your dentist, or your chiropractor because they're solving a specific problem for you. And you might try to solve it on your own first. Maybe you do order that product from Amazon that you see. It's the massage chair, right? And you'll try that. But if it doesn't help you, and usually people that do that are either, maybe they feel like it's going to be a cheaper alternative, or maybe they're afraid, or maybe they had a bad experience, so they're not ready to trust that person yet. I'm not ready to trust a human with my back. What if they make me worse? So
this is Ahwatukee Uncensored. So I'm going to start holding your feet to the fire.
All right, let's go.
These are questions I hear all the time. Facebook ads, YouTube ads. I mean, those are the two biggest guys. Which one do you pick? Do you split the money 50-50, or is one better than the other? I'm sorry. I said Facebook ads or YouTube ads, but Google also owns Google search ads. So a lot of times people are saying, well, I'm going to buy an ad for my business in Ahwatukee. I'm a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. Should it be a Facebook ad? A Google ad?
So here's the answer to that. I'm glad you brought that up because that was the first part of that I was going to talk about.
Well, show me all your questions. These are the things
I was going to talk about. So there's basically Google AdWords. There's SEO. So it's either organic traffic or paid traffic. Those are the two things, right? Organic traffic still costs money, which is the SEO part, right? And the thing is, if you haven't been doing that all along, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get ranked in Google. And when people come to me and they say they want to be on page 1 of Google, my question is why? Is it for bragging rights because you think it's sexy? Is it because you think it's going to get you a bunch of leads? Because their real thing that they want is, I want a bunch of leads, and I think the way to get there is to be on page 1 of Google. Okay, see, now we know what you want. What you want is traffic, and you want leads. So that's a whole nother conversation about traffic and how you convert it on your website. But as far as getting people to your website, you can use AdWords if you can afford it. Now, here's the thing. Google's in the business of making money, right? And if your budget, and here's a piece that people miss, and I get mad when other marketers don't talk about, oh yeah, let's do Google AdWords. I say if you don't have a minimum budget of at least $1,500 a month, you shouldn't even try Google AdWords. Just stay away from it. The piece that people miss is how many people, you have to do it backwards. Here's how you approach a Google AdWords campaign. How many people am I converting? So out of the people that actually you get on the phone or email with, how many people am I converting? Okay, now how many people have to be on my website before I know that are going to call me? Is it 50% of the people on my website call me? Okay, and now we know that. Now we have to know how many ads, what's my click-through rate? So how many
I'm
people
taking notes, by the way.
How many people have to click through my ad so that I get here? Okay, now we've got that statistic. Now once we have that ratio, now we have to see, okay, how many impressions do I need to get in order to get that click-through rate, in order to get that conversion rate, in order to get the sale. So there's all those steps that people don't think about. And if you don't have the budget to do a big enough AdWords campaign, because you're competing probably with people who have been doing it a lot longer, first of all, your clicks are going to cost more, but you're going to have what's called lost impression share. And this is what people don't know. If my budget is $500 a month, but all my competitors that are running ads to that same keyword and that same campaign type are paying $1,500 a month, well, I'm going to have a lost impression share. Google's not going to show me as often. They're going to show these guys more often because they've got a bigger budget. So just because you think, oh, I can test AdWords with $500 a month, no, your ad's going to be shown at 2 in the morning. Your ad's not going to be shown until these other guys are depleted. No, your ad's going to be shown at the bottom of page 1 or on page 2, and nobody's going to see it. So AdWords, you have to have a big enough budget to make it work for your business. Otherwise, it's just not. And then there's a whole nother thing we could do just about that. And then the same with SEO. You have to think of that as like a marathon. And who are you going to bump off? So when somebody calls you and says, I can get you on page 1 of Google, the question you're going to ask them is, who are you going to bump off that's on there now? And then they'll know that you know a little bit more, right? Because they have to tell you, one of these people have to leave the party. It's like you're starting a marathon, but all these people have been crossing the finish line for the last 10 years. Now you're just starting the marathon, but you've been eating Twinkies on the couch for the last 10 years. So you got to do all these things to get in shape so that you can one of those people off. And guess what? If you're only getting onto spot 10, you get 2%. You know, it's like you're not getting a lot. But how long is it going to take you to get there? Maybe a year? Okay, so is it really worth your time? No. So then let's look at other types of traffic that you can get. Facebook, YouTube, right? It's dirt cheap compared to the other forms of traffic, and it's faster. So I tell people if they can do YouTube and Facebook, do both. But what you do is you have, the piece that people miss is they usually just try to do what's called a lead generation campaign, but they haven't spent any time on branding. So it's kind of like, I just met you, and we haven't even had any small talk. And it's like, hey, let's go to the movies and have dinner. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about you yet, you know? So no, build up some brand, build up some goodwill. So start pushing out some content that offers value for your business and how you can help people so that they're already going to know your name. And then now when you hit them with that ad that says, hey, I've got this special deal for you, great. But it's all about that type of message. You can't just put an ad in for a $600 offer on Facebook. It's not going to work. You just can't do that. You have to have, you know, it might be called a loss leader, you know, one of your coupons might be. You have to have some sort of offer that is going to make people go, oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll test you out for that, right? And then on YouTube, the benefit of YouTube that people miss is, if you're familiar with pre-roll ads, those are the ones that you can skip after 5 seconds. The thing is, you can target people based on other big channels, right, that already target your audience. So if somebody else has a channel with 50,000 subscribers, that's great. But what we want to do is look at the videos that have a ton of views, right? And if it's a video that's ranked, we know people are continually coming to that video. And if you've got a product that we know the audience that's watching that video wants, then you can have your pre-roll ad there, and you got 5 seconds to capture their attention, but they got to watch you for 5 seconds. What people don't know about that is unless somebody watches 30 seconds of your video, you don't even pay for that. Talk about free branding. Everybody should be taking advantage of that.
So you're saying I'm asking girls out for dinner before I build my brand, and that's why my eyes are immune to mace and pepper spray.
That's right.
I wanted
You have to have, it's just like, if people think of their business relationships, just like you said, how we're all social and we know so much about each other now, it's like you have to take your business relationships, you know, you have to kind of think of them as their social.
Here's another feet to the fire.
Okay.
Because these are specific questions they're asking. People that don't, I'm talking about people who own businesses in Ahwatukee.
All right. Throw it at me.
Why do I need a website? Can I just have a Facebook page? And why do I need to have both? aren't I just fine? I'm already on Facebook. Shouldn't I just have a Facebook page? Why do I need a website?
So with that, I'm going to say, what kind of business are you? If you can have enough legitimacy with just your Facebook page, maybe. Are you just going to put your Facebook link on your business card? So for certain hairstylists, for instance, if you're just a single stylist and you're renting, I forget what they call them, but
a bay,
whatever. Yeah, but even there are these buildings that I see where it's one little room, one little suite. It's another company does that with other businesses, right? Where you can just go rent, kind of almost like a virtual office, but you're going in there, but it's not your building. It's somebody else's building, but they rent these little mini offices, right? So if that's all you have, and it might not make sense for you to have a website right now, a Facebook page might be all you need because you can show your portfolio on Facebook. But if you are a business where you need to push out information, I'm not going to hire a plumber who only has a Facebook page. That's probably not going to happen because I don't know if you're legitimate. I don't know if I believe you, right? So I want a different way to be able to see more about you. And you can't really build your business page the way that you would build a website where you have all your different products or services. You can have some e-catalogs there. So, but again, it's not about what you want. It's about what the customer wants.
I want to interrupt that point about the plumber because I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it seems like one of the biggest fundamental changes I've seen in half a century of living is a loss of trust.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
It seemed like back in the day it wasn't, but it's kind of like people don't trust. I mean, the government, the Congress has had an 11% approval rating for 20 years. So if you're gonna sell me bottled water, I know what this is. If I go to Walgreens,
do you remember when it wasn't?
and I buy readers, I mean, I can try them on, but when I call a plumber. And I grew up with 5 sisters. It's like every time the air conditioner goes out, the guy's going to come, and he says, "You need a brand new air conditioner," and you're thinking, "Do you need $5,000?" If my cousin Eddie could fix AC, would he fix it with duct tape and a shot of Freon? I grew up with 5 sisters. I played Barbie dolls until I was 12. So when my engine light comes on, I call it the idiot light. So I take it to my guy, Grulich, just because I know that guy and I trust him. But so what if you, because I think it's a hell of a lot easier to sell something that doesn't require trust. Because if you're selling something that requires trust, like you need a new alternator or you need a new air conditioner, or like a dentist, you have 4 cavities. Well, how the hell do you know if you have a cavity? The patient, the customer doesn't know. Yeah. So do you market differently to people selling the invisible?
Right. Well, so that's
can you build trust?
You can, and that's where reputation management comes in. Because who's going to do business with someone if you see them on Google and they've got a 1-star rating, or if you see them on Google and people are saying how bad they are? Your business is going to close. I have turned down clients that want to work with me because I say, no, you've got to fix your reputation first, because it's not worth you spending money with me and me trying to help you get customers when I know your customers are going to go look up reviews and they're going to see that and they're not going to do business with you. And sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. I had one that listened and I was really proud of him. I'm like, you got a problem here. I go, you got to go make that right. And he did. And it was a review that was 4 years ago. So, but that showed, it's like people are understanding now, you have to treat people well. And if you're a shyster, that's not going to fly.
That 1 to 5-star review doesn't even make sense because we live in a solar system that's 1 star. That you think that would be perfect. And 5 stars, you'd be an alien living with,
we're a savvy set of consumers right now. And if you're trying to deceive someone, I don't care whether you believe in karma or not, it's going to get around that you're bad.
Because transparency is dead.
Because we will know. It's like nobody has to be asked. If you have a bad experience, you're going to tell other people, because part of us wants to protect kind of our, not just the people that we're directly associated with, But some of us have a sense of higher purpose. It's like, don't go there. This is what happened, and we want to, and it's beyond just wanting to protect other people, but we want to also kind of get revenge on the person that took advantage of us, right? So you have to build trust first. And to do that, it has to stem with you being genuine. You have to be offering a good service, or you will just be constantly opening up something new. That's why I see a lot of businesses change their name frequently. It's like, we're rebranding. Why are you rebranding? Why are you changing your name? What's the real reason behind that?
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, I see that happen all the time where, in fact, air conditioning. This is a perfect example. I had a client who was an air conditioning company, and my connection, and then he was telling me the story about this company. And he was like, yeah, they go up, their reputation is so bad, and they're being investigated by the Attorney General, that they will go gobble up smaller air conditioning companies. They'll go buy these companies, and they'll operate under their licenses instead, right?
Wow.
So
another question. When anybody talks about your space, 6 Degrees, digitalmedia.com, digital marketing, SEO, they always just talk about two companies. Google, who owns Google Search and YouTube and Facebook. And a lot of people say, well, what about LinkedIn? I mean, Microsoft bought LinkedIn and Skype. There's Twitter, there's Pinterest, there's Instagram. Do those even matter? I mean, so specifically, I'm a plumber. Mm-hmm. I'm a welder. Like, my oldest son's a welder. He'll watch YouTube videos on the different types of welding tanks. He don't want to learn all this stuff. Is that why it's just Facebook and Google? Because if you're going to spend any time, it's going to be two, and you're just not going to spread the love to LinkedIn and Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram and God knows. Do any of these other ones matter? That's my question.
Instagram, well, yes, and they all have their own place in the marketing funnel. So LinkedIn can be very effective from a business standpoint, but you have to put the time in. You want to think of LinkedIn the same way you would a networking group, and you have to connect with the right people. The other way that LinkedIn works that's very effective is if you're in sales and you're using LinkedIn to connect with the right people. The amount of data that you can get from LinkedIn is also really incredible. You can find the people that work at the companies, the titles, how big a company is. You can get all kinds of data on a company. But one of the beauties of LinkedIn that I like, it kind of plays with 6 Degrees, is let's say I want to meet, Susie Jones. Well, I can see if she's a second connection of mine, LinkedIn's going to tell me who I know that knows Susie Jones. And I can reach out to one of my connections and say, hey, would you mind introducing me to Susie, right? So there's a beauty of that.
And what do they call that now? Is it the Brad Pitt effect? You're all... Pick any movie star, you're 6 degrees away on LinkedIn from knowing that movie star.
Somebody told me actually it was 8 degrees. I don't know if that's shrunk now or not. I don't know how they came up with 6 degrees in the first place, but that's how he picked my name because I liked the concept. But it's a guy that I met recently at a conference. We've never met, but we're connected on LinkedIn. And I shared an article of his, and someone in my connections saw it, and now they're doing business together, and she's going to be referring him all kinds of business. So he was just thrilled to death with me. He was very happy. And it was kind of almost hands off, but it's the same thing. So you can be effective on LinkedIn. LinkedIn also just announced that they're allowing video ads now, which made, I was excited about that. But
they're allowing you to place a video ad?
Yeah, now you can do video ads.
And what would that be, on the side of the desktop?
I haven't checked it out yet, so I'm excited. I just literally saw that this week. So
Twitter, they've lost half their.
Twitter.
They're trading at half their IPO price.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I've never been a fan of Twitter. Years and years and years ago, I was just consumed with it. And I would sit on the couch on Twitter, and my daughter is really into that. I think Twitter, it's little microblog. I mean, it's good for some information. If you're going to invest in Twitter, it's almost just like LinkedIn. That has to be your thing. You're going to have to commit the time, right? I've known a couple of people who have gotten clients from Twitter, but I really think it's just another extension of being able to build your brand so that But again, if your customers aren't on Twitter, you don't need to worry about it, right? It's like if that's not where your demographic is hanging out, are you doing it to make friends? Are you doing, like, what's your goal? Like, if you're going to commit to any one of these strategies, it has to be, if it's the intention of building your brand and generating leads, you have to make sure your audience is on that platform first. And is that platform going to work for you, right? So, and if you're going to spend time there, do it intentionally, right? So don't let it be an afterthought. Instagram is huge right now. Facebook owns Instagram.
But that's what's bizarre to me, because everybody thinks Facebook's all that and the bomb. But they had so many kids leave the Instagram that they had to get out their checkbook, and Mark Zuckerberg paid $1 billion to go buy the site where all of his customers are defecting. Mm-hmm. And me being 55, I hear a lot of kids and I say, what do you think we're Facebook? That's where your grandparents are hanging out.
That's the thing.
So
that goes back to your senior question. Remember, you're saying seniors aren't on Facebook? Well, they are, first of all.
So now that now that us seniors are finally on Facebook, that's why they're all running to Instagram and Snap.
The kids don't want to be who wants to be where their parents and grandparents
because
hang out,
I don't know what Snapchat is, but so do you agree that it was old people like me going on Facebook that ran them off to Instagram and Snap? Or the kids?
I think it's still something new, shiny object syndrome,
okay.
And the kids.
Because we got two high schools here in Ahwatukee.
Yeah, we all want our
Desert
own
Vista
thing.
and Mountain Point. Where are those kids at first? At the two high schools in Ahwatukee?
It's going to be YouTube and Instagram.
YouTube?
YouTube is the number one platform for people that are 13 to 18 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And
My son only
true?
watches YouTube. He doesn't watch TV,
it's
Netflix.
80% male?
I'd have to check that out. I don't know that I really buy that.
Okay.
But I don't know if
are
we talking about viewers or people that have
so
channels?
You said YouTube and what was the other one?
Instagram. Here's the thing.
For 13 to 18.
Bethany Moda made $1 million overnight, right? Because so what these young girls do is they call them a haul, H-A-U-L, right?
They would go. Know this.
This is interesting.
I'm actually over 18.
Well, they would go shopping and get their bags, right? This is their haul that they got at the mall or wherever.
Haul from the
and
mall.
they're in their bedroom pulling out all the things that they bought. And this girl became a millionaire. So these people do haul videos, right? And this was a few years ago, but I think it was...
And she had hauled videos for YouTube or Instagram?
YouTube, yeah.
YouTube.
Same thing with girls who do makeup application, you know? It's like you can find millions of views on these things, right? So, I mean, there's the top channels, are probably more predominantly male, but that doesn't mean that they're not effective. And the beauty of that is now people are coming to these channels saying, hey, if you promote me, I mean, you can make $500,000. If somebody comes to you because you're an influencer on YouTube, you can make a lot of money. But you got to build that up. You know, that's not going to really happen overnight. And then with Instagram, same thing, right? It was visual to begin with, right? Where Facebook was just posts. And then it moved into, oh no, now you have to add images. And it was, oh no, now you want to add videos too. There's definitely a huge audience that's on Instagram. And a lot of people are seeing when you're running your Facebook ads, you have a choice to add it to Instagram too, right? So a lot of people will do it that way, or the ones that are really smart will set up a separate campaign, but that ad will run on Instagram instead.
Okay, I asked you about Twitter, mainly because they're trading at half their IPO price.
Yeah, I'm going down.
And the other one is Snap. Snap's been a fall from grace. Is that temporary? Is it coming back?
I don't know. What was it? Was it Kylie Jenner? Is she the one that tanked their stock? Was it Kylie or Kendall? I forget which of those. I don't follow that tribe, but
I bet I'm going with Fred Flintstone.
1.6 million people jumped off. Like she had that. Their stock plummeted because she didn't like the new interface. And she put a message out that said, hey, what's up, Sammy? Why'd you do this? She goes, I'm leaving. So because she said that, her tribe did too. And then later out, Snap came to her and said, hey, wait a minute, because our stock plummeted. What can we do to make you retract that? Because later on she came out and said, oh, just kidding, still love you, you know, but I don't know that they ever recovered for that. But I think of Snapchat the same as I think of Vine. How much do we hear about that anymore, right? So it's like there's always going to be another one. There's always going to be another one, but the ones that aren't seasoned with tried and true and probably a wider demographic, I don't think they're going to stay. They may stay for a while, and they may have some short-term success, and that might be all they're looking for, because a lot of these companies, what they're doing is they're building these applications, but what's the ultimate goal? To breed it for acquisition, right? That's their goal. They may care about user experience to begin with, but it's only because they want enough users so that they are attractive enough so that somebody's going to come buy their company, right? That's what they want. They want the big payout.
So the tried and true that's staying is Facebook, Google, YouTube, Instagram.
Yeah, I do think Instagram is going to stay.
I'm going to throw one more.
And Pinterest, too. I think there's...
You think Pinterest is going to stay?
Yeah, there are diehard Pinterest people. I think it's got enough love now. It's just like, I'll sit on the couch and go through tons of pins and save them. The problem is, I don't know that you can... I would never try to monetize anything on Pinterest.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
That's the thing, is I would have to look at that. I've never run an ad campaign for anybody on Pinterest.
Yeah, that's why when people ask me, that's when they say, would you invest that stock? And I say, look, I've given $1 to Facebook. I've given $1 to a Google ad. I've given $1 to a YouTube ad. You know, but I've never given Twitter a penny. I've never given Pinterest a penny.
Yeah.
So if you've never given any of these companies a penny, why would you be buying stock in? Last question, because you promised me an hour. I don't even want to tell you how long we've gone over.
I don't have a one-hour watch.
Reddit. That's number 6. It's the 6th largest social community on Earth. And
there are diehard fans.
And you could watch the news stations on cable for 1,000,000 years. They'll talk about Facebook. They call it thing. Yeah. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google. Yeah. Poor Reddit. I mean, he'd probably have to go. How come? So, what are your thoughts on Reddit?
I share my stuff there. I don't go read there. So
what do you mean you share your stuff there?
You can push content out, right? So you can push content out on so many sites. It's the same. To me, Reddit just kind of gets lumped into StumbleUpon, Tumblr, all the other smaller...
I never even heard of this. StumbleUpon?
StumbleUpon,
Never even heard of it.
StumbleUpon. So
never been to Snapchat, or what was the last one you said? StumbleUpon or Tumblr?
Tumblr, yeah. So they're good for, we use them for SEO purposes, but, there's a million of those, though. There's a bunch of them. So it's not, I think people that are going for specific consumer information, and when I say consumer information, I mean that could be whatever hobby or interest we have, right? It's not necessarily...
I want to ask you another technical question. This isn't me, but it wouldn't matter if it was me. There are dentists that will do a video, but when someone's searching for like a cosmetic dentist,
okay,
they think the customer wants to show up and just see all this cosmetic work, versus it's grandma who lost all of her teeth with dentures and wants an implant dentist. So they'll do a different website just for implant dentists. So there's and maybe so they might have this website with all cosmetic stuff, this website with all implant stuff, but they'll do YouTube videos and explain themselves, but they'll put it on like 3 or 4 different sites. And some people say, you start duplicating content like that, Google's going to spank you.
Okay, so first of all...
Does that question even make sense?
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I have the perfect answer. So you haven't tripped me up yet. Come on, man, give me a chance. So there is no real... people called it the duplicate content penalty, and the way that was addressed was... a long time ago, we had, the panda penalty and the penguin penalty and all these penalties. But the problem isn't the penalty. The problem is, if you're writing content, what's the purpose? The purpose of writing content is to educate the visitor. If you're doing it for SEO standpoint, you want to rank that piece of content. That's what it's about. It's when somebody searches, you want them to find your piece of content. Where the duplicate content penalty comes into play is Google's only going to rank one instance of that piece of content, right? So if you have this content here and you have it here and you have it here and you have it here, Google's going to rank the one that was, in their eyes, the best, the most important, the first. It'll typically be the website that had the best authority. So it used to be called PageRank, now it's called domain authority. So Google's going to pick the one that's either had more traffic, is an older domain, has more visitors, that kind of thing. So if you put this content on another a website, it's not helping you in any other instance unless you just think somebody's going to read it there. But it doesn't help that website, but it's not going to hurt the one that was originally done. But I will say this, when you were talking about the videos and the different websites, if those are all branded the same, you're going to confuse your visitor. So I don't really like it when people have a bunch of different websites that show a bunch of different things. If they're all tied together somehow, that's okay. But if you're trying to rank it because you're using a very specific domain name, that's different. But as long as all the content is related, Google's all about semantic search now, more than just having, specific keywords. But the videos, every video solves one problem, and it talks to one audience. So if you're a cosmetic dentist, you don't want to put everything in the kitchen sink in one video. It's like one problem to one audience. So when somebody comes to me and says, but I have multiple demographics, I'm like, not a problem. But you're not going to talk to a 10-year-old the same way you're going to talk to a 65-year-old. So you're going to have a different message in this video than you're going to have in this video. And even when we're addressing someone who's 65, they might have multiple problems. You're not going to address all those problems in one video because that is going to turn them off because they might not even see it. And the analogy that I always use is if you're a pet company, no, I don't have pets, right? But if you're a pet food company and you offer organic pet food to dogs, cats, birds, hamsters, all that, then you need to have a different video that talks about your organic dog food video and your organic cat food video. Because if I start watching your video and the first part about that video is about dogs, but I own a cat, I'm gone, right? I may not stand around, I might not keep viewing. So solve one problem and talk to one audience in each video.
I love the new organic movement. Yesterday I bought 6 cans of organic Pringles. And they are there. So
find me some organic Doritos.
Last question.
I'm down with that.
Since I'm a dentist, who's the most famous dentist in the world? And why don't you use his marketing technique?
Well,
Who is the most famous dentist in the world?
Farran.
Who?
Howard Farran.
No.
Zuckerberg's
He
dad.
shot Cecil the Lion. Walter Palmer.
Oh,
Do you think I should go?
that was a while back.
Lion's already been done. He got his websites hits for so much it blew up the servers. Do you think I should go to the zoo and shoot like a penguin or something and do the Cecil the Lion dentist marketing deal?
I would do a parody. Yeah, I would have something up here, and I would do a parody. And no real animals were harmed. My son has an array of stuffed animals. I can bring them. But you know what? That's what I would do.
Well, let's you and me go down to the San Diego Zoo or the Phoenix Zoo, and we'll shoot a penguin. And I'll say, I'm so sorry. I thought it was a Catholic nun.
You know what? If you make it the Google penguin.
Hey, seriously, I have not had a guest that went over time and a half. I swear to God.
I talk too much.
No, Angela, you're just damn smart. She's at 6degreesdigitalmedia.com. Ahwatukee, everybody, there's 85,000 people living here, but you'd be surprised at how many small businesses are here. Like, you drive down 48th Street. I mean, there's so many office complexes back there. And I can tell you, from owning my own business for 30 years, if you need help with marketing, you just heard from the smartest girl in Ahwatukee.
Oh, well, thank you for that. The check's in the mail.
Check's in the mail, okay. Okay.